guys, what's up? KillJoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. That's my new intro. I'm gonna say horror movies. Put a little more punctuation on that. No? Is that too much? Probably, yeah. Today we got a big ol' update on Jeepers Creepers 4, and when I say big ol' update, I'm saying like a really big, massive update. We're gonna get into all the news in just a second here, but first I'm gonna need you guys to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. Also, please consider supporting me on Patreon. The link for that will be in the description below. Alright, now let's get into it.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Well, I'm Pennywise the dancing clown.
Oh, no, not the beast! Not the beast!
You son of a...
God, don't do that.
But sometimes that is better.
So before I get into any news though, I do want to talk a little bit about Victor Salva's involvement with this film. I asked the question on Twitter if Victor Salva would be making any money from this movie, and from what I've read on Twitter, so like, I don't know how I feel about this, I don't think Victor Salva is going to be making any money from this film. The director of the film, whose last name is very hard to pronounce, so I'm just gonna call him Timo, replied to a tweet talking about Victor Salva and if he will benefit from the new movie. Timo said in a tweet, "Victor Salva is in no way associated with this production and not benefiting from it in any way. The Creeper and the script are completely new creations." So that's really good news, because just like how I talked about in my last Jeepers Creepers 4 update, Victor Salva is a convicted sex offender. So personally, I would have a problem supporting this movie if he was involved with it. I just wanted to put that out there because personally, I kind of have a problem supporting a pedophile, and maybe you do too. So this should come as good news. Moving on into the actual movie news though, Jeepers Creepers 4 recently sold its distribution rights to Screen Media, which means this film is already filmed, done, in the can, and now sometime in the fall we're actually going to be seeing this movie. Also, in some not so exciting news, the film is not going to be titled Jeepers Creepers 4, it's going to be called Jeepers Creepers Reborn. Want to talk about bad taglines for horror movies, man. Jeez. Feel like that title's kind of shooting itself in the foot a little bit. I'm not a fan of it whatsoever. I would have just taken Jeepers Creepers 4. Or heck, just Jeepers Creepers, because we like to just call sequels the name of the original film nowadays. But no, we'll just take this crappy title, and hopefully it's not as crappy as the third movie. This new installment in the series is from director Timo something with a V, who previously worked on the Iron Sky films. The film is also set to plan a whole new trilogy. The film is written by Sean Michael Argo and produced by Jake Seal. The film is being described as, the film unfolds as the Horror Hound Festival holds its first ever event in Louisiana, where it attracts hundreds of geeks, freaks, and die-hard horror fans from far and wide. Among them is fanboy Chase and his girlfriend Lane, who is forced to come along for the ride. But as the event approaches, Lane begins to experience unexplained premonitions and disturbing visions associated with the town's past, and in particular, local legend, urban myth, the Creeper. As the festival arrives and the blood-soaked entertainment builds to a frenzy, Lane believes that something unearthly has been summoned, and that she is at the center of it. So already from that description, I am getting kind of excited for this film. From the tweet I talked about earlier, it sounds like they have a totally new design for the Creeper, so he's gonna look different. I believe he's still going to be played by Jonathan Breck, although I'm not 100% sure if that's confirmed at this time. I really don't see anyone else playing him though. I mean, he's really good in those other movies. Hopefully this film is good enough to spawn a new trilogy. I'm really rooting for this film, especially because Victor Salva's not attached to it, and hopefully it captures that same magic that the original 2 films do. I had to catch myself there. I almost said all 3 of them, but nope. Something I always love seeing in horror films is when like just a slasher walks into a big group of people and just starts going to town. A couple scenes that come to mind that are like this are like in Hellraiser 3 when Pinhead's just like going nuts in that nightclub, Freddy vs. Jason in the cornfield, Piranha when all the piranhas just come and like start eating all the spring breakers. I just love scenes like that in horror films. So like that's kind of what this is like leading up to, at least that's what it sounds like. The Creeper coming into a festival full of horror fans, and then maybe we have like some meta humor in there too. We see some people from afar just watching all this thinking it's some kind of stunt. Like, whoa bro, this would be so cool if this was in a horror movie, and then the Creeper just like rips their necks out or something. Okay, maybe that's going a little too far into it, but I think that scene of like a whole bunch of horror fans just getting murdered by the Creeper would be a great climax for your film. And then we have the characters of Chase and Laney described here. Chase is a horror fanboy, and Laney was kind of of like just dragged along for the ride. She doesn't really want to be there, and she starts having premonitions. Immediately I was getting like Final Destination vibes, like maybe she'll see something in the future of her dying from the creeper, but then I thought a little more into it, and maybe she has like psychic powers. Maybe it'll go along with those vibes a little more, and what I mean by that is where like the final girl actually is like a good competitor against the invincible slasher. I like when horror movies do that. If the final girl has like superpowers or something, where it's like, oh, the slasher didn't see this coming, and then they can actually like have a battle. That would be cool. I mean, I wouldn't mind it. It'd be a little weird for this series because like these aren't like atypical slasher films. But if they do end up going that route, I wouldn't mind it. I think it would be kind of cool. I'm just talking out of my ass though. I have no idea what's gonna happen in this movie. Screen Media's creative executive, Connor McAdam, who is also the associate producer of the film, said this: "As excited as we are, we know that the fans will be even more thrilled and chilled to return to the world of the creeper. Now with a much scarier vision from director Timo with a hard last name, who is the perfect fit to restart this franchise." Although that does sound very promising, and we might actually get a better version of the film in this movie, but just like with every reimagining, it could go either way. It could be a lot better, it could be a lot worse. One of the big things I'm looking for in this film though is that they keep a lot of the things that were great about the original series while adding on to it. Personally, one of my favorite creations about this film is like his crazy van that he drives around. It's got all these like crazy saw booby traps in it. That's one of the things that makes this film like stand aside from other slashers from like the early thousands that are very similar to this. The creeper isn't just a slasher, he's like this very Pennywise inspired entity that's totally into the supernatural. That's what I hope they keep with this movie. And I hope they don't just make it like a stereotypical slasher film where it's just the creeper walking around and he's just like killing people, whatever. Like, I like the supernatural stuff. I hope they don't try to like completely change that and make it more realistic. I feel like it would lose something with that. It's something they tried to do with other slasher remakes in the past, like A Nightmare on Elm Street or like Friday the 13th. Both of those films take almost like a more realistic approach. That's maybe not the right word for the A Nightmare on Elm Street remake, but it tries to be more horror than anything else. Because like both of those series kind of devolved into like silly 80s parody horror. So the remakes were trying to like bring it back to like the scary original. And one of them horribly failed. Hopefully this film doesn't do that. I hope it does do some new things while also keeping the things that we all love from the original. But what do you guys think about the new Jeepers Creepers? Are you excited for it? Are you actually gonna see it now that Victor Salva's not attached to it? Or like, are you not liking what you're hearing so far? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching my Jeepers Creepers 4 update. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. Speaking of Jeepers Creepers, my next versus video is going to be on Jeepers Creepers versus Jeepers Creepers 2. That comes out sometime next month. Look out for it. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at KillJoyJake1, on Instagram at KillJoy_Jake, and on TikTok just KillJoyJake. Please consider supporting me on Patreon as well. The link for that is in the description below. Thanks again for watching, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.
Thank you.